Folks, as I mentioned in lecture, I'm going to present a number of videos on various aspects of Python in Jupyter Notebooks. This one is, the first one we did was just basic Python, and this one is on Markdown cells. So the first one is how to write code cells to do your programming in the notebooks. And this one is how to write the cells where your text is formatted. Now, these are called Markdown cells because they are cells where you put a language which looks kind of like HTML and kind of like text format. It's called Markdown. It's translated into HTML. You can also use LaTeX. I'm not going to talk about that in this tutorial. There's another tutorial I'll post soon on LaTeX. So anyway, the subtitle of this notebook is how to write beautiful answers in your 237 homeworks. Let me just remind you that if you want to create cells in the notebook, you can go up here and you can use insert cell above and insert cell below. I tend to use, whenever I can, I tend to use the keyboard shortcuts. And so if you simply click anywhere inside I happen to hit a link here. So maybe go off to the left and do it. But if you have selected a cell and to the left and you type A, you'll get a cell above. If you click and type B, you get a cell below. So A, first letter of the alphabet, B, next letter or below. Now this is a code cell. So if I type in something here, it will perform as expected. Control, return, we'll run it. Okay, so that's a code cell. If I want to make this into a Markdown cell, I can go up to here and I can select Markdown, but I prefer again to use the shortcuts. So to make this a Markdown cell, guess what you type? M. So just hit M and it makes it into a code cell. If you want a Markdown cell, if you want to make a Markdown cell into a code cell, you'd think you'd type C, but in fact it's supposed to be Y. There it is, Y. So M will make it into a Markdown cell. Y will make it into a code cell. If you want to delete, you can hit the delete symbol here. If you want to move a cell, so if I want to take this cell and move it down or up, I can do that. So that's pretty much about all I use. Oh, I guess you can set it here as well, right? Yeah, you could go up here and just select one of these. I tend not to use too many of these. So let me cut these. Anyway, so that's basic manipulation of cells. I have not been terribly lucky or skilled, I should say, at copying cells between notebooks. I've followed the instructions and it doesn't seem to work too well, but somebody can explain that to me, please do. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, what I want to do, there's some various resources here, but I just want to show you the basic things to do for now for your homeworks. So if you double click on a cell, you'll see the actual code or the Markdown. And again, if you run it, control, return, you get the formatted text. So we're going to start with very simple things. If you just type text and you leave a space between the paragraphs, it will format it as paragraphs. So here, I just typed it on, and I didn't indent it. I'll get to that in a second. But I just left a space between them, and it did what you expected. Every once in a while, something doesn't quite work, and you just leave an extra blank line, leave two. Now, the other thing you can do, and I do this all the time, if you want pre-formatted text, so if you're familiar with HTML, pre just takes what you type in and formats it as whatever, I'm not sure actually, but whatever the standard sort of clunky computer-looking font is. So here, I put a tab before the line. So let's look at what happened here. I put a tab before the line. Notice what happens. If I do this, it's not far enough. And here I have simply hit O and it didn't work exactly the way I wanted, right? So you have to go far enough. You can use spaces, but you have to go far enough that it turns sort of brownish. And then when you do it, you can see that it will be indented. And you just get preformatted. And it'll if you put tags in here, all sorts of things, LaTeX, whatever, it will not format it. It'll just dump it in there with this clunky looking font. And that works fine if you want to just use, things like this to indicate exponents. I'll survive. And then we're going to talk about how to do LaTeX. Here is just sort of clunky. It's good enough. It's good enough. I wouldn't criticize it. And I will do it sometimes. But we're going to talk about how to make really nice looking math next time, or maybe in 2 weeks. So another thing you can think about, this is actually useful for HTML, to lose a little bit of HTML, is to use the, here what I'm going to do for the rest of this is I'm going to show you what the text looks like, what you type in, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's formatted. So you can see what I'm doing here, right? Here it is indented, right? What happened was I had this, right? If I do that, it formats it. And then so I just hit a tab and it formatted it. And now you can see that it will not, it'll just show me exactly what's there. And then I do this same thing but unformatted below, and it shows you how it gets interpreted. I'll do that throughout the notebook. But a BR will simply give you a carriage return. It's convenient. It's worth learning. Headings. These are, you can use HTML anywhere, okay, if you're familiar with that. I'll show you a couple. But really, the easiest thing for in the beginning is just to use some of these very simple Markdown rules. So if you make it look like a, don't indent these, right? See, when I indent them, I get exactly what I typed here, and when I don't, it'll format them. So don't indent them. So if you make it look like a comment in Python, it'll give you a very large, corresponding to H1 in HTML. And as you give more and more hash marks, it'll make it smaller and smaller. And you can also use HTML tags. Now, HTML tags, the characteristic is that you have some word, like H1, whatever, and you put it between these angle brackets, and then you use a kind of escape character or something, but a backslash with the same tag, but with a backslash, and that delimits the beginning and ending, opening and closing, and so that'll give us the same exact thing. But why? I mean, just do this. You can also, I never use these, but if you just, if you need to put it in the center or do something else, you can use tags like center. If you want to combine it with a format like a heading, you can put this in the center, like align equals center. What I do, frankly, when I'm learning this stuff is, I get this tutorial and I keep it open, like while I'm programming something. I might be programming something here, and I'll decide, oh, let me add a heading here. Okay, oh wait, has to be Markdown. Okay, then I come over to here, and I just grab something like this, okay? And then I go to my document here, and I put it here, and then I run it, and then I'm all set. Just cut and paste. Cut and paste. I do it all the time. So, especially when I get to LaTeX or some of the more complicated things. Emphasis and fonts. This is another useful thing to know about. If you put a single star on either side, asterisk on each side, it'll give you italics. If you use 2, it'll give you a boldface. If you use 3, it'll give you both, and I've never used that even once. HTML formatting will work. B for bold, so you see this B here with the backslash B, opening and closing, italic. Highlighted text with mark. I'll show you a better way to do that. DEL is strike through. You can use subscripts, superscript, open, close, and subscripts. But there's a better way to do that in LaTeX. But you see what happens. The fonts don't work out too well. It's better to use LaTeX. There's a reference here. Much more information. You can use any HTML you want, but I've found that some of the complicated things just don't work. They say they work and they don't. You can also change the colors. Again, just cut and paste this. Font color equals blue, and it will make it in blue. You can make it in green or whatever. Don't overdo it. Again, horizontal lines, I tend not to do this too often, but let me show you what happened here. You put 3 asterisks in a row, or you can just give a pre-formatted list of, if you sometimes use ASCII art to give yourself a formatted line like the pre-formatted line, I'm sorry, don't indent it. I'm showing you what you do. But if you do this, right, it'll do a pretty good job. It'll figure it out. You can see a kind of light gray line here. Again, sometimes this doesn't work. I tried to do it here and it didn't work. Anyway, another really nice thing is indentation and lists. So if you want to, if you start the line with a number, okay, so you can see what this looks like, right? It'll give you a nicely formatted, right? It'll look nice. I generally use the next idea actually, or I use HTML. This is very nice. If you just want a bullet list, okay, you can just put a star at the beginning. You have to put a space in here, but if you put a star, an asterisk, you can even put paragraphs, and it will do a nice job of giving you bullet lists. Okay. HTML, these actually work pretty well. If you're familiar with HTML, ordered list, okay, it goes all the way down to here, wherever it ended. Anyway, you have list item, unordered list, blah, 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 blah. And if you format this, you'll see it, you know, it does what you expect. I'd rather you read up on, I don't think you're going to need to do this. This is actually very nice, though. You can just, if you want to show code, of course, you can always just indent it. But a nicer thing is to use the backticks. Sounds terrible. Backticks. So this is on my keyboard. It's in the upper left. The back single quotes, maybe would be better thing to call it. You can see what's going to happen here, right? You just put back single quote, or, you know, do it like this, and it'll show it. Just, this is pretty much the same thing that happens in, it'll format it like this. It'll put it in a gray box and use a nice code-looking font, which is what we do in Piazza. You can also, this is nice, you can use a code block, well, not really, a block quote, I should say, by just putting the sort of right arrow, greater than sign, at the beginning of the line. I want to keep emphasizing that you don't indent them. And you get this kind of nice line, and it's all indented. You can also use, there's block quotes in HTML. You can use that. To do a multi-line code quote, you can use simple three single quotes like this, okay? And you can see these are back quotes. And what it will do is give you an indented code block. One really nice feature, and I don't do this enough, I'm going to start doing it, I forgot about this, is you can use the 3 and give the name of the language. And it will do it just like it shows you in your browser or your IDE, whatever. It'll give you code formatting specific to the language, which is nice. Okay, To create an image, if you want to put an image file, what you can do is basically, I usually just, you can grab an image from somewhere and shove it in. But usually what we're doing is you have some display, some image that you want to include. And what I do, let me just show you. I use just screen capture, okay? So on a Mac, if I want to say, let me get this area, and I'm going to put this image right here. So what I do is Shift Command 4, and then you can drag, okay? Now that will put this in my, it'll put it on your desktop. You can't see it because I'm just showing this one, but I get a screenshot, and what I will do is I will use preview, and I open it up in preview, and I'll use adjust size. Actually, let me show you this. Let me do this. Let me do the whole thing. Let me go back. Share the whole screen. I'll just do that. So, well, this is my new house. Okay, let me get rid of this. So let me do the whole thing. I did a you saw me do the screen capture. Here it is. And if I double click on it, at least in the Mac, it'll open it up with preview. And usually when you do this, it's too big. And so I usually reduce it to half or 2/3. I go to adjust size. Width and height in inches doesn't really correspond to reality. I want to make this a little smaller, so I'll say 3 inches. You can see it says scale proportionally here, and it'll adjust both of them. Say OK, and now save it. You got to save it, so I do Command S. And what it does is it saves the image here. And now there's a couple of ways to take that image and put it in. The easiest thing, okay, is to simply drag and drop it into the cell, and you'll get this. So wherever the cursor is, so you have to do it like this. There's several ways to include images. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop this right here. Okay, now when I run the cell, there you go. And you can change the size. I don't know. I never looked that up. I'll show you later down below. Or maybe you can't when you drag and drop. But anyway, that's an easy way to put images. So if you can draw something on your machine or by hand and scan it, and then you can load it into this. Okay, so let me cut this out because I don't need that. So, sorry. Oh, why is it not loaded? Yeah, there we go. So, you can also use the edit menu, insert image. I never do that. Now, if you want, you can also put an image. You can use HTML, and that will create an image that will load like this. You can see how, oops, you can see what I've done there. Right? It's just the same exact thing. And you can, then it's a little easier. You can align it to the left. You can change the size. You can do all sorts of things. The problem is if you do that with a local file, you've got to include the file with the notebook file, which is a huge pain. You don't want to do that. So I would use this technique unless you want to refer to a URL. So the image is on the web somewhere and you want to refer to it. Okay, that's the only time I would do that. And again, just cut and paste from here. Hyperlinks, yeah, see, hyperlinks start A, anchor, hypertext reference, and here's so all you need to do is go up, if I want to create a link to something, I can just go up here and I can cut and paste it into here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess it up, but just cut and paste, go to the website, whatever it is you want, copy from the bar and go down here and put it in. Now you have you have a link. Finally, You can make some tables. It does a decent job. You can see this, but I don't tend to do this a lot. If you have something real complicated, I wouldn't do it, but it's not bad. The reason I don't much is it gets a little complicated and a little messy. A better way to do it is to go here. There's something called Tables Generator, and it enables you to create a new table. Let's say I want 4 rows, 6 rows, and fine. Oop, what happened? I don't know if it did it. Anyway, and what it will do, well, somehow it didn't work. But, oh, yes, it did. Oh, I did columns, sorry. 6 columns, 3 rows. It worked perfectly, sorry. And now here it is. Okay. And let's see, put tabs between columns, compact mode, I don't know what that is. And then when I grab this, I just cut and paste this in. And it, ooh, not there. Where was it? Here. And now, Markdown. Well, I didn't put any data in it. So I'd have to put some data in it. A, B, C, D, E, F, 2, and so forth. Yeah. Okay, so take a look at some of the references here, but the basic things, just getting basic formatting in, is pretty easy, and I encourage you to do it. Don't go crazy, but using various fonts and being aware of how to use bullet lists and how to use pre-formatted or code block quotes is useful. Okay, I'll stop here.